Hey, Gubs. How's it going?
Good. For those of you who don't know me, my family calls me Gabi or Gubs. So you guys are just getting a little flavor into Shabbat dinner at the Epstein.
So, you know, most family events growing up end in some kind of jam or some kind of, you know, Manischewitz sing-along or something. I guess we're kind of recreating that.
I can do that right now.
Oh my God. Hey Dave, how are you?
Good, doing well. What a charming brother and sister.
Oh my God, I can't wait to start to talk to them, but let's do what we need to do. Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Avery Saltzman.
And I'm David Eisner.
We are the co-artistic directors of the Harold Green Jewish Theater Company. We wanted to welcome you to our fourth episode, I'm fixing the light, our fourth episode of our Conversations on the Green series. It is Wednesday, July 15th. It's 1 p.m. and we are
live.
We're live.
Yes.
I want to welcome you all to this, this episode. And you're going to notice throughout the next hour, two numbers at the bottom of your screen. One is that you can go onto our website because of this, you know, the COVID times that we are in. The only thing that we can really do is bring you great programming virtually, and we will by, you know, conversations, concert series, readings. So during this hour, if you'd like to donate to the Harold Green Jewish Theater Company, that would be wonderful. And also, there's another number under the screen that could take you to our website that you can also link onto on Wednesday, July 29th, and we'll talk about this later with the lady who half of the duo we are interviewing. She's going to be doing a great cabaret for us, live, specifically tailored to the Harold Green Jewish Theater Company. It's Wednesday, July 29th. It's at 7:30 p.m. And all tickets are the best seat in the house. $36, you can see this wonderful woman perform. So that number is going to be there too. So if you want to call in and book your seat, there you go. Dave?
There you go. That's the best $36 per household that you can spend. It'll be a wonderful.
That's double high.
Double high.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, on the right of your screen, if you don't see comments, there'll be a link to take you to a place where you can make comments and ask questions. And at the end of the show, we will open it up to the audience and present your questions to our special guests, Gabi and Jake. Probably one of the brother and sister performer duo, the most prolific and talented brother and sister in Canada, if not North America. They've been on Broadway, Stratford. They performed on TV, films, series, and they performed for us and graced our stage. We are so thrilled to have Gabi and Jake Epstein. Welcome, both of you.
Hey!
There they are.
Hey, guys.
To go. That was the intro.
The longest intro.
Yeah.
So, how are you guys been coping? I know things are slowly loosening up as we go along, and maybe in a couple weeks, the end of July will be stage 3. But I'm curious, first of all, how you've been coping, and is there anything from COVID experience that you might take with you beyond COVID, and eventually when we get sort of back to normal, that has enhanced your life that you want to keep?
That's a great question.
Jake?
I mean, sure. I just feel like I just want to appreciate things a little bit more. Like I feel like in the olden days, we take things for granted a little bit, and I sometimes take the work for granted a little bit. I'll complain, I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or there's not enough auditions or not enough work. And even when I'm lucky enough to work or do anything, it's like, oh, it's a lot of work, you know. And I just really, when you realize that it can all be gone in a second, you just, I just want to appreciate everything more. And I never realized how much I missed hugging people. I think I'm a hugger.
I was going to say, you took mine.
I'm a hugger. Yeah.
No, very good.
Yeah, I think just seeing people, like I think just over the last few years, just how so much has switched to online. Even, you know, of course, during this time, everything has switched to online. But you know, in a digital world, we have sort of like gone away from the face-to-face a lot, like the in-person relationships a lot. And I think just re-evaluating all of those and needing that sort of in-person connection, even if it is 2 meters away in my little yard, just like appreciating seeing somebody actually in person, hearing somebody's laugh in person,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
touching somebody in person, even again distanced. It's that's something that I will also just.
I don't want to hear the word Zoom again. I think for a long time after all this is done. Zoom, which I'd never heard the word, and then I feel like it's like entered our vocabulary.
Yes, part of our life.
It's part of our lives, and it's a wonderful thing. But it's like Gabi was saying, I just miss the real interaction with people. There's as amazing as technology is, there's just nothing like that.
I know. I hope it lets up really soon. I don't know when that day is going to come, but you're teaching online, Jake? You're doing some teaching? And
I've been doing a little bit of teaching online. Okay. I know that Gabi has as well.
Yeah, both of you. Right.
And I've been taking classes. I just actually came from a drama class online.
Good for you.
So it's been a great time to be taking classes, to try to get better, and also just to help adapt to this weird format. It's like practice.
I think people are finding also that with all this time they're becoming a little more creative. They're getting a little more oomph and to do things for themselves and to create and put things out there. I mean, I think it's
I mean, this conversation series that you guys are doing is fantastic. It's amazing, and I don't know if that would have happened without, I hope this is something that continues,
it's possible.
Because I think it's great. And I think it's a great thing in the afternoon or later for people to, tune in and listen to people bark about.
We've had a great time doing them also, I don't want to, I'd love to spend some time, guys, on your childhood, because I don't know what was I don't know. I've never seen a family like yours. I mean,
oh God,
that 2 kids. I mean, are in brilliant talents in showbiz. I know your dad, Ian is a lawyer. I know your mom, Oh,
wait,
which one is that?
That's Gabi, right?
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh,
so cute.
Oh my.
Too cute.
God, where did you get these?
Oh my God, they're beautiful pictures. Look at that. You're already.
Wow, look at the attitude there. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a cool guy right there, aren't I? Just a cool cowboy.
Oh, such a cool cowboy.
Oh my
God, I love it.
Your mom is Kathy Kaser, who's a brilliant author of children's Holocaust book, but she was also a therapist prior to that, or a psychologist?
Psychologist, yeah. She has her master's in psychology from University of New Brunswick, and she was practicing for many years. And then when we were, I think I was maybe 10, Jake, you were maybe 8, she pivoted and went into a transition period and decided to write, to do what she always wanted to do. And I think unconsciously growing up, I feel like having that influence in our lives as somebody who just pursued their passion and was fully supported. I think clearly made some kind of an impact on us, considering that we both decided to do that.
They're both Canadian, right?
Both my parents?
Yeah.
My dad is South African.
Oh,
very cool.
Our dad was born and raised in South Africa. He has 3 siblings who are all here in Canada now. Nice. And he was the first of his siblings to come to Canada because he went to McGill. And then met our mom on a blind date.
My mom.
My mom.
Yeah, they were set up on a blind date.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of a crazy story.
Yeah.
And I think they went to like a Bee Gees concert, or there was some epic date, and then they were engaged like very shortly after.
Wow.
Like 8 weeks after meeting each other.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, and
if we had come to them like 8 weeks after, 6 weeks or whatever after meeting a partner to say we're engaged, my dad said, I would have killed you. I would have killed you.
No, never. And
maybe a different time.
I'll throw my dad a bone here just after talking about my mom. I mean, my dad, the lawyer, is also he's got a great voice. He sings in a choir.
Oh wow!
I mean, it was him that really organized these annual trips to New York that my family would do to go see a Broadway show together.
Wow.
So it was really, you know, my dad. You know, we always say like, thank God for my dad who like supports, you know, 2 actors and a writer in the family. But he, you know, his mom, my grandmother, was a piano teacher.
Wow.
So he very much has huge artistic genes and really like pushed us, fostered us.
In his high school production of Fiddler on the Roof.
He sure
Oh
did.
my God.
Acclaimed high school production of Fiddler on the Roof.
Acclaimed.
He could grow a great beard in high school as well. And I believe that helped his performance.
That helps.
You know, because when I did Tevye in high school, I had to glue on everything. By the end of the show, you know, half my beard was on my chest, all over the place.
I would love to see your Tevye.
Oh my God!
I would love to see that.
So did you always have music in the house too, and singing?
Yeah, there was always. I mean, my folks, my dad in particular, was a huge folk music fan.
Wow.
So my memories are just like every time we were in the car, there was always like James Taylor and Carole King and Simon and Garfunkel and the Beatles playing all the time. And so I just feel like we were always at a really young age. I always felt like I was born in the wrong generation because I was sort of introduced to like 60s music.
Yeah.
And that was my music as a kid. And it's still, you know, that for sure was sort of a gateway to other types of music. But yeah, between that and them introducing us to musicals, and that definitely fostered our love of musicals. And you know, we always say like we won the parents' lottery. We have incredible parents. They're amazing people, but they also really pushed us to go after our dreams. That was always like the thing we talked about in our household, that you know, life is short, and that doing the safe thing won't necessarily work out. So, you know, you work hard, and it was really important that both of us went to school for what we did. Gabi went to McGill for music. I went to the National Theatre School, and they've really, you know, encouraged us and helped us along during all the like ups and downs of this insane business that we're in.
I remember, like, people have asked, you know, us this before, like, how did you sort of, you know, get into this business, or was there ever pushback from family or whatever? And I really, like, it's forced me to really go back and think about it. And I don't think there was ever a time when we didn't know that we were going to go into the arts. Like, it was never a question about it. It was just what facet of the arts we were going to go into. So, you know, for me, was I going to be a singer, performer? Was I going to be a music teacher? You know, like, it was always using music and theater in any career that we pursued. It was never really a question. You know, I don't remember ever sort of really deciding what I was going to do. It was just
evolve.
Sure, but it's one thing to love it, but it's another thing to have great talent. I mean, you can love it as much and want it, but you guys are extraordinarily talented. Oh,
I might
you are strangling her.
Choking you, yeah, loving or maybe choking you.
Oh,
but I admire a couple of things.
I wish I could have vetted some of these.
Which play was this?
Oh, was this a skit somewhere?
Oh, this.
Wow.
This was a crazy moment. This was my dad surprised my mom for her birthday by taking her on a trip to Washington, D.C. And so we came in and acted out being the president or being Abraham Lincoln or something like that. Like,
I don't know who I was. You're definitely Lincoln. I'm sort of angry cowboy.
Oh, that's funny. You know, it's interesting, Jake. You're taking lessons. I find that so admirable. Or continuing to learn your craft, because as Avery said, it does take talent, but it takes dedication. And I know, Gabi, you started in the Toronto Children's Choir, with your love of voice, and Jake, you started. I don't know if this was your first major part, but we're talking 8 or 9 or maybe a bit older, in Oliver as the Artful Dodger.
Our town was prior for that.
Oh, that's right.
Our town was prior. Yeah, I mean, it really started with Claude Watson School of the Arts.
Which you both went to?
which we both went to, and
Right.
I was not. I mean, Gabi was always singing and performing. I was like a hyper kid who would play sports and hockey, but I found out I got to miss a day of school to audition for the art school. So that, you know, I was like, I'm in, and loved it. Like immediately, it was this like eye-opening experience. And so it was through the school that I had an amazing drama teacher named Paul Como, who sent me to my first audition for Art Town, which was at the Royal Alex Theatre with Soul Pepper, and I played the paperboy. And so that, to have that experience, you know, at the age of 11, to be around the late Peter Donaldson and Martha Burns and Nancy Polk and Oliver Dennis and all the you know, incredible Soul Pepper staples. And they were just cool. Like they would, you know, would share wisdom. And so I feel like I immediately got to see like the best of the best at the age of 11. And no doubt that kind of, I'm sure, encouraged me and propelled me. And then, Oliver was a couple of years later, and there it is. And it was just fun. I mean, when you're a kid, you're not even fully aware of that anything is kind of a big deal, or it was just fun. I was just
how did you feel that?
Really into it.
When Jake was doing all this stuff and you were a little low, was there any sibling jealousy or stuff that he was getting these things? And...
You know, I think at that time I was, as you said, I was in the Toronto Children's Chorus, and that was a huge commitment as a kid. I was in it for 6 years. We traveled to Australia and New Zealand and around the world, and I became the head chorister my last year. You know, we did concerts at Roy Thompson Hall and everything, and so that was and we required lots of music theory and ear training and all that stuff to maintain our position in that choir. And I was very serious about that at that time, and I think I always knew that I would, you know, that would performing on a, you know, big musical stage would be a part of my life. But I really loved being in that choir at that time, and so I was so happy to be there and support. I think I saw Oliver like at least 10 times.
Yeah.
You know, and I would love to, you know, I would love to hear people's, you know, conversations at intermission about how great the Artful Dodger was, and I'd be like, wasn't he? I'd be like, that's my brother, and run away. You know.
Nice.
It was, I think it's always been.
I think I did the same. I think I did the same thing when you were at Stratford. P.S.
There you go.
But
and speaking of,
I was going to say we've talked about this before. I think as young performers, never really having to compete for the same parts certainly helped us not absolutely hate each other growing up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's a healthy rivalry. Oh, look at this. Best buddies.
Oh my God, these pictures.
What
cute.
are these photos?
They're beautiful photos.
Attitude.
They're gorgeous.
Gubs, you're
There's a healthy rivalry that can exist too. It's spurring each other on and inspiring each other, which I
mean, for sure. I mean, I always said like Gabi was my biggest performer inspiration growing up, because she just had natural talent. Like I felt like I've had to work really hard at some things, especially music, where Gabi just was naturally, I mean, at least from my point of view, came more naturally, easier to you. And was just so, Gabi just loves performing, maybe more than anyone else that I know. So it is, I mean, we for sure, you know, we're there to kind of help each other, and through the highs and the lows and all the in-betweens, you know, it's
that we had, like, we always have, like, you know, our paths sort of go in different directions for a while, and then sort of like, you know, join for a year or two at a time, and then they kind of go off and join, like, especially like even in sort of our middle life, in university post-secondary life, like the fact that I went to McGill and Jake would come and visit me and hang out in Montreal. We loved Montreal, and then he sort of stayed on at the National Theatre School, and you know, then Jake obviously through the National Theatre School and their incredibly intense training program dedicated his life and beginning performing career that way, whereas I was in music, and then we sort of came together to do musical theater for a little while together. And you know,
and your your start, Gabi. I don't know if I'll call you Gabi or Gabi. Look how beautiful that is.
Wow,
Your
that's
start
a
was
great.
with,
That's an album cover, guys. If there ever was.
Oh my god! I think
Oh.
my hair is just as long as it is
Oh,
here.
beautiful.
there you go.
My eyebrows have never looked better. Sorry.
I was going to
Good
say,
brows.
Gabi, your start
Solid brows.
after Montreal was in a show that sort of has been a narrative that resonates throughout your career with the Fanny Brice,
Mm-hmm.
which has been amazing. You want to talk a little bit about that one-woman show that you did?
Yeah, that was my very first professional gig, and it sort of came out of, doing a charity production of Grease with Fallen Rock Productions, and then a benefit of this and that, and the director of that one ended up being the director of this amazing one-person show written by Leslie Wade with Smile Theater, which is a professional theater company that performs for seniors and retirement residences across the country. And it happened to be this one-woman show about Fanny Brice. And at the time, I sort of knew Funny Girl, and that was about it. And so going into this audition, I really had to dive in and watch a ton of vaudeville and learn about, and the Baby Snooks show, and learn just all about her style of comedy, and that getting to know Fanny and therefore Barbara Streisand and everything certainly sort of set the stage for what was going to be what I was sort of known for most of my performing career. And it's because of that, I'm a big believer of things that are meant to be. As we know, we call it Beshert. I think that it was Beshert that show fell into my lap early on, because I think it certainly helped to form the career that I have.
What is it with that woman and you? What is it with Fanny Brice? That you made a big part of your career from that play to doing Funny Girl in concert with us, to do it in
Montreal.
in Montreal. What is it with that woman and you? What is the thing that's shared in your makeup of some kind? I find that extraordinary that this woman and you would have this simpatico.
Well, I think that there was that final dress rehearsal.
It's a great photo.
I think that first off, the comedian tells a bigger story than just what's on stage, and I think that that's something that a lot of, especially women in theater, relate to. That sort of, we put on the big expressive funny clown to sort of sometimes mask what's going on, and I think that I think there's a really interesting story about being out there giving, and then when the laughs stop, when the applause stops, what happens? I think that's always just a really interesting story to tell, that a lot of women especially, but actors as well, can all sort of relate to. But I think that for Funny Girl specifically, I think that Funny Girl is as much about Barbara Streisand as it is about Fanny Brice. It became when the show and the film was created. The musical itself didn't actually have really the Brice estate as there were none of the Fanny Brice songs in the original musical. That only happened after the success of the show. And so Barbara Streisand, being this young person with so much chutzpah and personality and gusto, put so much of her own personal experience and self into that role. It became the Barbara Streisand story as much as it was the Fanny Brice story. And so I think that when each new person, when each actress, comedian takes on her Fanny, right, it becomes a part of you, and so I think that is something that other people see in me, and that I know is in me. And so I completely take it on. And when, there's that feeling when role and person and personality come together, that you just feel like it's meant to be, that you just need to share it. And so that when I sing those songs, when I tell that story, that I feel like I'm telling a bit of the Gabi Epstein story as well. And I think people see that a little bit as well.
Well, I hope Stratford builds that show for you, because in Stratford, they've never done it. So I think it needs to be done,
Wow, from your mouth, Avery Saltzman.
Yeah. Your sister said something, Jake, which is really interesting. She said, all this great work, and I think you said it when you did when you did your one man show, the Boy from Falls from Down the Sky.
Boy Falls from the Sky. Yeah.
As much as I have the quote here. I think it's what happens when you achieve a version of your dream and it's disappointing. You know. I found that. I mean, that's the basis of your show, and I find that really interesting. That have all these hopes and dreams, and you get there, and it's not as what.
Yeah, I mean that's what drove me to make the show. Is that I had this incredible period of my life where I moved to New York and had this like 6-year stretch of doing multiple tours of Broadway shows, and had my Broadway debut in Spider-Man, and I've lived to tell the tale. And there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Wow,
there
very
it is.
impressive.
There's the muscle suit. I don't take credit for those pecs right there. And then just dreamed about originating a role in a Broadway show. I just felt like that was what my life was leading to. And then I actually got to originate a role in Beautiful, the Carole King musical, and opposite Jessie Mueller. And I mean, it was an overwhelming dream. But the truth is that sort of underneath each of these experiences was a lot of difficulties, a lot of personal pain that I wasn't really sharing with people, because I didn't want to seem ungrateful for how truly blessed and charmed my life has been. And so I tucked it away and I hid it away. And then at the end of Beautiful, I moved back home to Toronto and kind of gave up singing for a long time as a result of a bunch of things that had happened, and didn't want to talk about it. And I was lucky enough to actually go back to Beautiful, and that was this really amazing experience for me. And what I started doing is just opening up and sharing some of these stories to friends and family. And what I realized is that these personal stories of pain were quite relatable and quite humorous and entertaining. And so I sort of got the courage. It was my wife, Vanessa Smythe, who's a writer, who really encouraged me to get up on a stage and tell these stories, and that being in control of your own narrative and being able to tell your life story as a piece of entertainment could be really relatable and really satisfying. And so I did. So I was lucky enough to collaborate with Robert McQueen, who's, for those that don't know, just an incredible director. And we put together this show, and it's just kind of just started. Yeah, we did it at the Fringe in Toronto, and it did very well. And we're slated to do it next year at Mirvish if the world allows that to happen. But yeah, that experience is probably one of the most satisfying theatrical experiences I've ever had.
Well, there's something,
to be able to be that naked on stage in front of people.
Well, there's something very spiritual, whatever you want to call it. There's something about embracing your demons, because once you embrace that and let it go, you're open of spirit to bring all those wonderful things that come into your life.
Yeah, and the truth is, everyone has their shit.
Yeah,
and I feel like with performing, it's so much about what people see on stage. People don't know what's happening backstage, and so I actually thought kind of pulling the curtain back would be really interesting.
Yeah.
And one of the fascinating things is that people after seeing the show came up to me saying, I'm a doctor and this is my story. I dreamed of it and it hurt me and I didn't get into the thing I wanted. No one's life is perfect, and I feel like it's a very human experience to watch someone coming to terms with their own inadequacies or their own imperfections and kind of taking control of it. And so that was big for me.
The other reality.
Sorry, David.
I was just going to say, it's interesting as someone illuminated, a psychologist, that our anticipation of something is always so much greater than the reality. I mean, when you plan a holiday, the anticipation before you go on holiday is better than the holiday. As it is, and we have such, believe it or not, it's just psychologically speaking, almost 9 times out of 10, it's that lead up that's is going to lead to sort of a letdown in the reality. And we build, to talk about Broadway, Stratford, and the sort of unique, seamless, perfect world that it would be if only I got this. And the anticipation is always so much greater than the reality.
Well, and the very first question you asked us was what do we want to take with us? What do we want to learn from this time? And one of those things I think about is enjoying the process, is enjoying. I feel like there's so much emphasis on the final product, on the opening night. But I've been thinking a lot about really trying to enjoy rehearsal and really trying to enjoy the ups and the downs, because life is short and you don't know if you're going to get to opening night. And otherwise, what are we doing if we're just wanting applause or something? You know, you're destined to be unhappy.
I always felt that. I mean, I love the process so much too, as an actor. After opening night, the play we did, Jake. I mean, the process of you and your mom writing the show together and being in that rehearsal hall was glorious. And then the opening night, then you got to do 8 shows a week.
I know, and you were like, oh man.
But it's not yours anymore. That's just it. You have to give something of yourself up. Yeah. You know,
it is a different beast after it opens and the director leaves, and then it sort of becomes the actors kind of after the creative team leaves the process, and then it's your job to continue the story as truthfully as possible. I'll just quickly say, I mean, doing Therefore Choose Life for Harold Green was just one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. There, father and son. There we are. Oh, that's a great shot.
Great picture.
Yeah, and, you know, I got to write it with my mom. I mean, it was a really all around just a very special experience in my life.
Well, I was going to leave at the end, but now that we're talking about that now, that was an extraordinary experience for me, because I was going through some really we shared a lot of stuff in our dressing room together, Jake. It was fantastic. I was going through a lot of stuff at that time. But your mom helped me a great deal too, being a psychologist and stuff. So it was an extraordinary experience of growth for me too. But I just loved being in the room with Sheila and yourself and Lisa Horner and Amelia and stuff. And was it a great experience writing with your mom? Was it?
It was. I mean, it was so unique. The circumstances of why we started writing it were very unique. I don't think we set out to write something together, but it was this sort of one summer when Gabi was off working, I was unemployed and moved back home, and my mom was in between stories, and we sort of had this chunk of time to write something together. And we brought it to Harold Green to be part of the playwriting series, in the beginning series.
Yeah.
Not really knowing if we had anything, and you know, that was such a valuable experience for us, because all of a sudden we could sort of see the story and hear it with an audience. And I mean, the experience of working professionally with a parent did not come without its challenges, and we definitely kind of like went at it sometimes, but it felt like a once in a lifetime experience. I felt like I learned so much about my mom. And Avery, you were so good in the show.
Oh, thank you.
Like you were, and if I can just throw a question back to you, I mean, what was it like? You sort of retired as an actor a little bit. I mean, you had the success. You have the successful career as an artistic director with David, the successful theater company in Toronto. And what made you want to sort of step out of retirement to take on a role like that, and the risk of doing a new play, like an untested new play, was a real risk for you?
Well, not really as an actor, because I knew what we had, and the experience of working with yourself and your mom, who I knew what she could do through her writing. That's a tough question, but I'd like to step out when something really speaks to me, that, we have the opportunity, as Dave and I are co-artistic directors, to say, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. And I don't get the opportunities. The reason David and I formed this theater company, because the career wasn't feeding our souls anymore, and I think those opportunities where I love to sing in our fundraisers, but when a show comes along and that I can feel invested in, and that will help nurture me and feed my heart and soul, then I'll grab on, and it becomes a wonderful experience. And but I had 30 as David and I have, I had 30 years of it, you know? I had 30 years of more of doing it all the time. And so when I do something now, it just has an extra meaning to me. So
we could see it, we could feel it.
Well, it was a joyous experience, and yeah, that was one of the highlights of my career, I think, too. So it was joyous. And
I know
sorry.
I was going to say, I know the play resonated. My dad's a Holocaust survivor, and a lot of my friends I grew up with, their parents are Holocaust survivors, and that play resonated in such a unique way that hit them in their soul. I'm talking about the people who are descendants of Holocaust survivors. Yeah, they told me that this was remarkable.
Well, this is just like you know what I was going to say sort of before with Jake's show, and even like you know what you guys do with telling the Jewish story. Jake and I have talked about this a lot, like just about being the more specific you are, the more universal it becomes. You know, I think like the most obvious example is a show like Fiddler on the Roof, which is, other than you know North America, it's arguably even more famous in Japan. They you know they perform it as part of their culture. So just I these stories, these specific stories, are just so important to tell, and they don't isolate. In fact, they super include. And I think that's why we want to be a part of them. I think that's why people who aren't necessarily Jewish come to see them and feel connected, and it resonates with everybody. And like Jake with your show as well, what you were saying about doctors and you know not necessarily artists, that it's important to be specific.
Well, it's a sense of community also. A lot of our performers, and I speak of it also, to perform to an audience who's primarily Jewish, that has this sort of inbred symbiotic thing going on because of a culture and about things. So it must be very interesting to play to a collective audience like that. Does it feel different when you're on a stage playing to that audience?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm trying to remember the first time I played a Jewish role as a professional. I didn't realize what a relief it would be. Not that it was like work to not play a Jewish person, but I just felt like I could breathe. Like it was such a sort of relief or something, or it immediately just you know, talking about it, like in our play Therefore Choose Life, my favorite scene is this Shabbos dinner scene, and it's a little bit of a farce. There's kind of people moving in and out, but in terms of everyone arguing over each other, and I mean doing that every night, it's something that I've experienced 100 times. And so there was sort of it was such a joy to be able to share that story with other people, and to know that the people in the audience have also experienced that. So like Avery, like you were saying, there's just that immediate kismet connection you have with your audience, where you're family in a way, you're relating in a way, you almost have inside jokes with each other intrinsically in the culture. So I have relished playing Jewish roles. I mean, I'm sure like with Fanny Brice and something that was similar.
At the same time, sometimes with those like iconic Jewish shows that I've done, like Fiddler and Funny Girl, even Little Shop of Horrors a little bit, you know, has that sort of Jewish flavor. There's a little bit of, I'm not sure if you feel this as well, or you know, anybody playing these types of roles. Sometimes I feel a sense of maybe pressure is too strong of a word, but especially when I feel, yes, you know, like to really authenticate the show and the role. I know when I've done Fiddler on the Roof, especially the second time, I was the only Jewish person in the show, and so you sort of feel a real sense of this has to all be authentic for those Jews in the audience, you know, who are wanting that and expecting that, and you know, you offer yourself, you know, for any support or for any advice or for anything that you need, but it's an interesting just line for us, you know. You want to you know, even playing something like Fanny Brice, you of course want to give that Jewish flair, but you don't want to go too much.
Yeah.
You want to
know?
keep it authentic. But I think
For sure. Yeah.
I think there when you do something specific to yourself, as you say, or to our audience, it illuminates. It's just a little brighter about humanity because it's so close to you, and that's helped out. You talked about Little Shop of Horrors. What was that like in another actor's dream to perform at Stratford and be able to play that iconic role, which you did so beautifully? Can you talk a little bit about that?
This photo, I see Lisa Horner is all I see when I look at it.
You're right.
I just love it. I sent this
Absolutely.
to Lisa. I was like, that's us, baby. Lisa, who I loved performing in Stars of David with you guys as well. And that role and show is very special to me because as I learned through playing her how similar we are, but on the outside, sort of growing up or seeing some of these iconic roles, that was one that I didn't think was in my reach. Growing up as sort of an awkward, funny girl, you sort of see this like blonde bombshell kind of role, and you don't necessarily see yourself in ever playing that. And so the fact that not only did I get to, but that it was kind of perfect for me and received some of that praise for that just meant so much. I sort of with a role like Fanny Brice, that was sort of, I felt like I was her from the beginning. With Audrey, I had to really like prove even to myself that I was her. And through proving that, I realized, as I said, just how sort of perfect it actually was. We grew up, Jake and I grew up going to Stratford. We talked about New York a lot, but we went to Stratford every year as well. We would have picnics and see a couple of shows in the summer. And so the fact that I actually got to be there in a leading role there meant so much to me. Knowing that people were coming, having that same experience as we had, and seeing the big musical and wanting to play Audrey at Stratford one day, like that just, I certainly did not take it for granted. I really, really mindfully tried to take it all in and be present with all of those moments, because I knew that it could just pass you by super quickly, and who knows if I would be back there. And so it really, none of it was lost on me as to how special of an experience.
Many, many years ago, I think I told you, Gabi, that I played Seymour and Louise Peake played Audrey. It was at the St. Lawrence Center. And it was so exciting for me, too. You say, Audrey wasn't in your purview. Either was Seymour for me, because I never was in the show where I got the girl. So,
right?
Yeah, so it was really...
those are the roles also. Yeah. Like they are deserving of it,
Were you guys brought up in a religious household? Did you have Shabbos Friday night dinners, or did you?
Yeah,
I would say
we
both are. Yeah. I would say traditional more than religious. But we went to Hebrew school. We went to synagogue on the high holidays, and we do Shabbos dinner with our family still to this day. Wow. I guess Jake, probably more than most of our friends.
I always think of us like sort of as almost more culturally Jewish than religiously Jewish. But for me, I feel like it was always about family. Like, we would do Shabbat dinner every week, which is totally a religious thing. But it was really just because we were lucky enough to have all of our cousins living in Toronto, all of our aunts and uncles in the city. So we would get to grow up with our family, and all the holidays were like, I equate seeing family with the Jewish traditions, and that kind of importance of family and relying on family. So that's sort of my
100%.
Understanding of it.
When we it's funny when we sing these Hebrew prayers or songs or anything. Sometimes when I've been to synagogues where these prayers are in English, I actually sometimes feel like I'm more connected to the Hebrew versions because when I'm actually sometimes hearing when I'm hearing the religious part of it, I don't actually connect to it as much as I just enjoy singing this Hebrew song from my childhood that brought my entire family together, and that we all sort of sing together. And so yes, to our friends growing up, it would seem sometimes like it was a semi-religious thing that we were doing, going to a Shabbat dinner with our family. But for us, especially growing up, that involved, saying a couple of prayers and then having dinner with our cousins. So
Right.
that's what it was for us.
I've said this before.
Totally.
Someone once told me that faith means family all in the home, which I love that sense of family. But it's
All in the home.
yeah. I
That's
find
nice.
that I want to speak a little bit to your wonderful spouses. Jeremy Lapalme and Vanessa Smythe, and how brilliant they're both actors, and you both had many a time long distance. Your relationship was long distance, and you're basically newlyweds. I think, Gabi, your 1 year is coming up in August.
In September.
There he is.
There he is. He's downstairs watching.
And,
cool.
And Vanessa, is
That's from high school.
a while ago.
Oh my gosh.
So how was it handling a long distance? Was that tough? I mean,
Whew. So tough. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing to be able to maintain a long distance relationship. I mean, when I was in New York for 6 years and we were together. I mean, you really know right away whether or not you're meant for each other. Like, each other's. You skip like months ahead in the process as soon as you start long distance. But I mean, I think with both Gabi and I, like, we each have partners who are in the arts and who are performers, and so I'm so grateful to have like a partner who completely gets it, and we're kind of in it together. And especially when I was in New York, going through some things that I wasn't really sharing with anyone else except for my partner. But it was cool. I got to do just before everything shut down, I went to Washington, D.C. and did this play called Dear Jack, Dear Louise, which you guys know about. There's you guys are ready with the photo. Which was all about this long distance exchange between a soldier in World War II and this woman that he's sort of set up with through his parents living in Brooklyn. And it's the story of the playwright Ken Ludwig's parents and how they met. And so I got this experience of getting to dive into the sort of comedy and tragedy of a long distance relationship. All the like miscommunication, all the anticipation of, you said the wrong thing in an email, and then is that going to thing, or, and just like, and just missing each other so much. And so it was incredibly difficult, but we're, once we had light at the end of the tunnel, I think it's really kind of probably strengthened our relationship, because we probably hopefully won't ever have to deal with anything as hard as that.
Yeah, and I guess like we sort of have a bit of an opposite sort of relationship stories, because Jake has known us since high school. We all went to high school together, as you know, on over the years, but since high school. And Jeremy and I met in our late 20s. That's when we got together, doing a production of Fiddler on the Roof that joined us together. All that beautiful.
The Rabbi's Son.
He played the Rabbi's Son. I played Seitel. And we had a
made
because of it. We because we are both actors in the biz, we were apart about a year and a half into our relationship is when we were apart for the first time. So luckily we were both pretty lucky that we had some time over a year at the beginning of our relationship to really strengthen and make sure that we had a really strong foundation. We also, I think, had the luxury of having, because we met sort of in our later 20s and with sort of semi-established careers already, we when we decided to get together, we were committed to each other. Like, I think we sort of were pretty serious right off the bat. And so when we went away for the first time, it was certainly difficult. We had to work on it. It did not go amazing the first time, but it, you know, it gets easier, and then in fact it gets harder, because then you just don't want to be away from each other because your love is still there. This last year, when I was, when you're thriving professionally, you're usually away personally. And so last year, when I was at Stratford, Jeremy was in Calgary doing 2 big shows back to back, and we didn't see each other for almost 6 months the year that we were getting married. So it's
that's still crazy to me. I cannot believe you guys did that.
Wow.
It was pretty insane, and we decided that we were never going to do that again. But it really just made us stronger in the end. And at the light at the end of the tunnel, Jake, as you said, is that we had a wedding to look forward to. And
Hey,
Wow.
look at that, the whole mishpacha.
It's lovely.
Extended family.
I don't think I've seen that photo.
Wow.
Wow.
This photo's coming
I haven't seen these photos.
We have our sources.
Can you
Oh,
guys-
man,
can
you guys are on the ball.
speak a little bit about you both had raised Jewish, and you both had Friday night, and you both married out of the faith. You both married non-Jews.
You're gonna
Is
go
there
there,
what
huh?
are the challenges
You're
to
gonna go
that?
there,
Or
huh?
The challenge to that is there
Yeah.
I
I mean,
it's not something
it's
that
certainly
people
not something. I mean,
about.
I'll only speak for myself. Like I certainly wasn't looking for a partner out of the faith, or
Yeah.
but you fall in love. You can't help who you fall in love with, and yeah, I mean, at the beginning, when things were getting really serious with Vanessa, my mom was like, we come from a family of Holocaust survivors like you, David, and keeping the religion alive and those traditions alive is really important to my family, really important to both Gabi and I. And so we had to sit down and have a really frank chat about all of that, and about what that would entail and the realities of it. But I mean, our grandmother who passed away recently used to, or I should say she's actually our step grandmother. And before meeting our grandfather, she was in a different marriage, and it was a terrible marriage. And she had admitted to me that it was abusive at times. And she would always say to me, you marry who you love. She's like, I married someone Jewish, and he was horrible to me. And then I met your grandfather, and we loved each other. And so she would always just say, marry who you love above all else. And I've always just remembered that. And, you find your partner, and you know it in your heart, and that's it. And there's been a lot of the advantage of marrying someone who comes from a different background than you is it really challenges your own faiths and your own awareness of what's important to you. And it really started with our wedding, which was an interfaith wedding. I had to be really clear about what was important to me, and we got to really learn about each other's cultures. And I feel like because of that, I actually felt more connected to my own faith and my own religion, because I was really clear about what was important to me. So it's been this enlightening experience being with someone out of the Jewish faith.
I think all of the, I think you take your upbringing and your traditions for granted until you're with somebody who you can sort of share them with. Like, all of we. I don't think I had celebrated Purim since Hebrew school, but Jeremy learned about Purim, and then he wanted to get dressed up and have hamantaschen for Purim. So all of a sudden, like I've not thought about Purim since I was 12. I'm like rolling out hamantaschen dough because my husband wants to experience that. I think as I said before, we met doing Fiddler on the Roof, so that was certainly something that bonded us right from the get-go. He played the rabbi's son. Nick Rice actually was the rabbi in that production, and so they would actually have these talks as like rabbi and rabbi's son together. And as we were sort of courting, Jer would ask Nick for rabbi advice, like through that, which was so sweet. But I remember in that production, there was a Pesach was in that month or whatever that we were celebrating, and like a lot of theaters that aren't necessarily Jewish theaters doing Fiddler on the Roof, we had a show on Passover, and so I had to miss my family Seder. So we decided that weekend to do our own little Seder, and it was the first time, just like Jake was saying, it's the first time that I actually really thought about what I would do for my own Seder. I took sort of the traditions from, we do usually 2 Seders from 2 different sort of parts of my family, and I sort of combined those 2 things together, took the parts of the story that I wanted to tell, sang the songs that I wanted to sing, told the story the way that I thought it was important to tell it. And that never would have happened had I not been with somebody who didn't grow up doing that as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And before we leave, because we're not leaving yet, Matt's going to play. We're so excited. You're an award-winning cabaret artist. I know the top cabaret performer in New York City. You've performed all over North America, and we get you for the Harold Green Jewish Theater Company with a remarkable concert that's coming up. I wonder, Matt, if you can play it, and then we can talk a little bit about it.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade.
Hello, Harold Green Jewish Theater patrons. My name is Gabi Epstein, and boy, have I ever missed you. You may remember me from past Harold Green productions such as To Life, The Stars of David, and of course, Funny Girl.
Hey, Mr. Epstein.
Are you missing live theater as much as I am? Sam, are you nodding your head right now? Yeah, well then you are in luck, because on Wednesday, July 29th at 7:30, I will be here performing a special one-night-only cabaret live just for you.
One shot, one gunshot, and bam!
I mean, we have Mark Camilleri. I mean, who could ask for anything more? Are you expecting somebody? Oh my gosh! It's Avery Saltzman!
Hi!
Hi!
I heard music, so I thought I'd just come and say hi. What's doing?
Well, we're recording the trailer for the show that I'm doing for you and the
Of
Harold
course,
Green Jewish
yes,
Theater.
great.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to be my special guest?
Does a bagel need a schmear?
Join me, Mark Camilleri, and special guest Avery Saltzman on July 29th for an intimate evening of stories and songs. I can't wait to share this with you.
Get ready for me, love, cause I'm a comer. I simply gotta march, my heart's a drummer. Nobody, no nobody, nobody, no nobody is gonna rain on my parade.
Wow. And thank you to
Epic
Daniel
trailer.
Abramson from Stream Stage for partnering with us with that. We want to take a minute. We only have a couple minutes left to talk a bit about why you're excited about it and what you're going to be up to.
Oh yeah, like I think that the COVID times, taking on things yourself. I think self-employed artists are the ones who always seem to thrive in these situations, because we always sort of know how to pivot our lives and have to adapt really quickly. And so that has become, these virtual concerts. As my dear friend Christopher Wilson says, these are not meant to replace live theater. This is an and rather than an or. And so if we are doing something virtual, why not make it the best quality absolutely possible. Jake did his show on this same soundstage, and now we're doing a live cabaret just for you. So not only is it stories and songs, but we're going to really incorporate the live aspect of it. So I'm going to have the chat going. I'm going to, possibly take some live requests and just make it really fun and something that is exclusively for the live experience. Hopefully make you feel like you're back in the theater a little bit.
That's great. And I'm so happy that I just totally plowed my way through this and said, I'm in that show.
Great cameo.
Great cameo. Yes.
It's a great cameo.
Oh, schmear.
Does a bagel need schmear?
Exactly. Very natural. All ad-libbed. It looks so good.
Are you, Avery, are you going to be performing in the cabaret as well?
Gabi and I are doing two duets.
Cabaret?
Cabaret. I'm doing two duets. We're doing two duets, and I'm singing a song by myself. Yay!
Beautiful.
Woo.
I asked if I could do two solos, and Gabi said no. So
There you go.
Classic Gabi. Just bringing down the hammer.
Guys, we have our Harold Green lightning round. So we're going to ask you a series of questions, only 1 or 2 word answers. Okay, Dave, you want to start?
Sure.
Wait. Who's going to go first?
Why don't you go first? Or Gabi go first.
Okay,
and then we'll go there.
Gabi, go first.
Okay. What do you put on your latkes? Applesauce or sour cream?
Applesauce.
Applesauce.
On your bagel and cream cheese, lox or nothing?
Lox.
If there's locks, always locks.
Good.
Favorite Jewish comedian?
Barbara Streisand.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Favorite actor?
Oh.
I'm actually going to go Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's my fave.
As of today, I'm going to say Mark Ruffalo.
Great. Favorite film?
How do you
One of your favorite. One of your favorite.
I'm
going to go with Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
But I could list 50 right now.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go Funny Girl, just cause, but
It's on brand.
A hard one.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
Hard no.
Do you have a tattoo?
Not allowed. 7 piercings, but was not allowed to get a tattoo.
Okay, Jake.
Nope, scared of pain on my body, and
there you go.
And last question: if you had one word for the future of humanity, what would that word be?
Is it what we hope for the future of humanity, or just what it?
You had one word for
Kindness.
Very good.
Equality.
Nice.
Really resonates today. I'm going to let Abe say goodbye after me, but first I want to say how talented you both are is equally equivalent to how wonderfully brought up you are and what mentions you both are, if we use that in a female term as well. You're just so fine, grounded, wonderful people. And we're thrilled that you perform with us at the Harold Green. When you do, you elevate, our whole family has elevated the Harold Green, has been a part of it and one of the pillars of our company. And we're very proud to know you both. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, you guys are like family. I think you're my nephew and niece half the time. It's just been lovely to have you both grace our stage. Like as Dave said, you're such great people. I really, really love your family. I love you both, and look so forward to doing the cabaret. But look so forward to many, many, many years of collaboration with you both. You're both dear to mine and our hearts, and so. Thank you. Before we go, I always forget Matt, backstage, our general manager and our stage manager for these events. Matt, show your face. You did a great job.
With a beautiful beard.
Yeah. Sexy beard.
So on behalf of Matt and David, Jake and Gabi, God bless you both. Thank you so much. And
thank you guys.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Thanks for having us. We feel the same way about you guys and about the Harold Green Cheers Theater. It's really holds such a special place in our hearts. So thank you to you both.
And love to your parents. Love you.
Yeah.
Bye.